On April 1st, newly elected New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham signed and passed into law the Hemp Manufacturing Act, House Bill 581. This bill allows a person licensed by the New Mexico Department of Agriculture to harvest hemp for distribution or sale. Heath Grider, a local Portales hemp grower and treasurer for the New Mexico Hemp Association, talks to us on how he has been waiting to take advantage of this opportunity.
I've been an advocate for hemp for years now. After I first learned about it, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago on the internet, there's no reason why we shouldn't have it. It's going to be a perfect crop for southeastern New Mexico. We put out 73% of the agricultural revenue in New Mexico. This uses less water than alfalfa. It has a longer growing period. It sells for more. It produces more biomass than corn. I expect eventually dairies will replace corn with hemp for their silage feeding. Hemp is not marijuana. Hemp, industrial hemp, is defined by law as the cannabis sativa plant that has 0.30% and under THC content. Marijuana is 0.30 and over. They are two different animals. It's like they are not the same thing. Hemp will not get you high. Hemp is a medicinal, it is an industrial, it is a textile product. It is not even in the same league as somebody buying a bag of pots.
The history between hemp and the United States has gone back and forth for hundreds of years.
We go back to, say, the early 1600s. So hemp was farmed in Jamestown at the time for making fabrics and ropes and so forth at that time. Probably the next essential point in hemp history is the Declaration of Independence was drafted on hemp fiber. The next year that comes to mind is probably 1913. So 1913, El Paso was the first city to criminalize marijuana. Now, marijuana and hemp at those times were probably almost the same thing because we didn't have the chemical test to discern the two on THC. So it was primarily based on intent. So 1913, El Paso criminalized the possession of cannabis, including hemp at the time. And so around 1936, we see the first beginning the degradation of cannabis, how people perceive it in the United States. And that was through a film called Reefer Madness. And you can find that on YouTube these days still for that. And then in 1937, the federal government instituted a tax on marijuana called the marijuana tax. And so the marijuana tax was inclusive of hemp in the United States also. And what it did, it taxed it so high and made the penalties so great that if you didn't have a tax, virtually it put an end to all hemp production in New Mexico, in the states, and the sale of hemp products in the country. So then we come to about 1942. So we're talking World War II at the time, and so the country was in a need of hemp products. So they instituted Hemp for Victory program in the United States, and approximately, 200,000 or so acres of hemp were produced in about a 3-year, 4-year period for the war effort at that point in time. And growers were provided a hemp stamp that provided them legal authority to grow hemp at that time. And so as soon as that program went away, then of course hemp production in the United States went away also. So now we bop along to say 1970, and the federal government adds hemp and cannabis to the Controlled Substance Act.
Growing hemp not only opens the doors for local growers, but corporate industries such as Ultra Health are joining the production of hemp. They have played a substantial part in growing medical cannabis and setting up dispensaries all across the state of New Mexico. However, The cap of THC in hemp is a challenge for them as they try to control the strains to meet the hemp definition.
We've been conditioned and rewarded for increasing THC potency in our plants. So we're doing a complete pivot on trying to limit the amount of THC that these plants produce. So it's going to be a huge challenge for both experienced and new growers to cultivate plants that have less than 0.3% THC. We see the opportunity for a six-fold increase in activities with cannabis, medical cannabis, adult use cannabis, and hemp together. We expect New Mexico to have a billion-dollar cannabis industry. This first season is going to be largely an experimental trial and error season for us and other hemp farmers. We have yet to determine how the plants react to the soil and how they react to the heat and the water levels. That's something that we're going to have to determine in this first season and learn from those lessons. And it's difficult to tell which will be more profitable, hemp versus cannabis, either medical or adult use. Hemp has a wide variety of uses. It can be used from textiles, fibers, plastics, a concrete supplement called hempcrete. So with hemp you have a whole industrial aspect that can be extremely profitable.
The New Mexico Department of Agriculture has implemented rules and regulations in carrying out the Hemp Manufacturing Act. State laws require that all hemp growers obtain a license as well as have oversight in the production of hemp.
You know, the first thing I tell growers is that, and we've talked to a lot of them in the state, is do your homework. Because you buy something that is called hemp seed or a transplant that's called hemp does not necessarily mean it's going to be hemp by the time you harvest it. It may go above the 0.3%. So I tell growers, do your homework, get to know who you're buying your product from for your seed or your transplants, and ensure that the material you're buying gives you at least a pretty good chance of harvesting a crop at the end of the year. Then you need a license from New Mexico Department of Agriculture, and the applications are on the New Mexico Department of Agriculture webpage. You grow. We tell growers also to start looking at somebody that's going to buy their product and how they want their product in it, whether they want it harvested only the bud and flower, or the whole plant harvested, and so forth, and start looking around for the markets that you're going to sell these type of things.
Although industrial hemp is predicted to have phenomenal growth in the state of New Mexico, this inaugural season will provide opportunities for growers to straighten out any difficulties they have maintaining the THC levels. A product of hemp is cannabidiol, or CBD oil, which is 40% of the plant's extracts.
We see CBD, one of the oils that comes from hemp, in a lot of cosmetics, lotions, other types of products that are being sold to help with arthritis and with pain in joints. We see that CBD oils are probably going to start showing up in food pretty soon, and so forth, in colas and drinks and so forth, on those type of things. So that kind of takes care of that end of it. The other spectrum is the fiber portion of it, and we'll start seeing that develop in the future years in New Mexico for its use in concrete, for its use in blocks, perhaps textiles, perhaps plastics, and so forth.
Your CBD store offers natural and hemp-derived products to the public, providing a high quality of CBD that uses CO2 extraction in order to eliminate the need for chemical solvents. They currently have 400 stores in the United States.
we see on a very regular basis is obviously the arthritis and the carpal tunnels. That's one of our very big ones. Also, we've seen a lot of psoriasis, swollen knees, cartilage issues, general pain, joints, and muscle kind of issues. It's a big process. In Denver, we grow all of our hemp products. It's in a couple warehouses. We have it all very separate from the THC products, also from the zero broad spectrum products. Everything's very formulated. It's used with CO2 pressure and gas and heat to kind of extract all of our processes. It's then, after it's extracted from the resinous material, it's sent to all of our third-party testing, so various places in Denver, also in Florida. Then it all meets back at our hub in Tampa, Florida, and then gets distributed to all the stores nationwide as well. And another cool thing we provide with our products is just showing all the testing that we have. So with this QR code, you just scan it, pull it up to a little browser link, and this will pull you to every milligram strength and every bit of testing as well.
Although this is a new chapter in the relationship with hemp in the United States, all signs point to hemp indefinitely becoming a high-value cash crop and bringing wealth and business opportunities to New Mexico.